They were working on rebuilding what the July flood destroyed. Now they have to start over because of last night's rain. And an Elkhorn woman says she has had trouble sleeping at night, knowing that her home could be flooded next. How the overnight rain is impacting her and her community.
Plus, much nicer weather on the way as we head into the weekend with that break in rain chances. I'm breaking it all down coming up as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Some Knott Countyans are trapped following last night's flood, which destroyed temporary bridges throughout the county. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox details how they're getting tired of setbacks.
Knott County officials say they are roughly 25% through cleaning debris from the July flood. Thursday night only set them back even further.
A lot of the roads, it's undermined them again. Even right down to some, one of the complaints this morning was a school bus in Hollybush that until we can reestablish a portion of the road, they can't even get the school bus out.
Dozens of bridges have been swept away, leaving multiple people stranded at their homes.
Pike spilled over. It was getting to the point where it was getting to be, if those pipes hadn't come out when they did, if they'd all come out at once, it would have caused a major problem.
What Carl witnessed has been a concern for Knott Countyans since the bridges were installed.
It's like a low water crossing, and any time that you have several of tile that's together, any type of debris that washes down against these tiles, it blocks them, and then the next thing you know, you've got a dam, and then it just washes the crossing out.
Dozens of people are unable to get to work, and it feels like they are reliving a nightmare.
I told you there was maybe 17 to 20 people out here. My sister says the one house has 9 people, and I've only counted like 4, so there's more than 20 people. Probably about 25 people out in here with no access to the road.
Now rebuilding projects are going to be redone. In Knott County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Knott County officials are urging state legislators to consider increasing flood relief funding. Knott County Attorney Tim Bates says there are over $1 million in debt to contractors working to rebuild communities. Following heavy rain in the area Thursday and early Friday morning, some counties in eastern Kentucky have declared a state of emergency. Flooding, rock slides, and road washouts in Letcher County have led to Judge Executive Terry Adams to declaring a state of emergency for the county. Clay and Lawrence counties have also declared states of emergency Friday afternoon. The states of emergency will allow for quick response to any issues that need to be resolved in the wake of the late week heavy rain. A Kentucky utility truck became stranded in Bell County this morning by floodwater. The Bell County Volunteer Fire Department responded to the scene on Highway 221 in the Stony Fork community. The truck was headed towards Harlan County. Officials with the Bell County Volunteer Fire Department say the driver was able to get out of the vehicle and walk safely down to the railroad tracks to a fire truck. The Bell County Rescue Squad was also paged out for a coal truck operator that became stuck in the same location. It was a rude awakening for some people in southern Kentucky. They were told to leave their homes. Water outside was getting too high. Boats and rescue workers came to get them. Many of them have been out of their homes all day. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what happened in the work to get about a dozen people back home.
Water was being pumped out of Freeman Hollow Road Friday, hours after a dozen people were evacuated or rescued from their homes.
I wake up from my sleep at 3 a.m. with my neighbor knocking on the door.
She and others were taken by boats to safety. Some animals, though, were not as fortunate.
2 of their dogs were out in the yard when it happened. The water just kept rising higher and higher as the rain continued to fall.
The emergency management director says most of this problem was caused by a stopped-up culvert. The Cumberland River is wider, but it did not jump its banks and cause major problems in the city of Williamsburg and beyond. Walden says she isn't aware of this ever happening before.
It was really scary to see everybody else's property, like everything in front of me when I opened my door was completely engulfed in water.
Her home was spared most of the damage as it sits higher up a hill, but water surrounded other homes.
To know that the only way out was to have a lifeboat come and get you is a pretty traumatic experience.
She says others who didn't want to wait on boats simply climbed the hill behind their homes to higher ground. In Whitley County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
We spoke with Samantha Walden a few hours ago, and she told us that rescue crews still had not cleared her or her neighbors to return home. A mudslide in Mingo County knocked homes from their foundation and pushed train cars loaded with coal into a creek this morning. One of the houses knocked down in the mudslide has been demolished. Crews say they have to clear the debris out of the way to get the road back open. A local plumber company brought an excavator and dug through the mud and debris so emergency responders could get to several people who were stranded. Crews also rescued 2 dogs. Norfolk Southern says the mudslide knocked over 5 of their train cars that were hauling coal. Responders say no one was seriously hurt. Officials in Marion County say 1 person there has died as a result of the weather conditions. The coroner identified him as Randall Sloan. Crews say they first found the vehicle he was in through a drone search Thursday. It was flipped on its side, submerged in water about 200 yards south of Highway 49. Agencies from several counties returned to the scene this morning. That's when they found a body and removed the vehicle from the water.
We found the person that had deceased, so which was terrible. You know, it's another thing that you got to watch what you're doing whenever you're in those conditions.
As for this morning, Marion County is under a boil water advisory. Officials say portions of treated water at the Lebanon Waterworks treatment plant facilities mixed with storm water from the flooding. One town in Pike County is reeling after even more high waters have impacted roads and homes. WYMT's Jordan Mullins spoke with city officials and one homeowner who says her home may be in harm's way.
Friday morning, waters rose in the Elkhorn City community of Pike County, impacting travel and even destroying a temporary bridge which stranded multiple families.
There were trees across the road right where we're standing up above here, the road blocked, and got more workers got hit out of the way, slid in, and lucky nobody didn't get hurt. And I mean, up and down, the water was in the road everywhere on the going down. It was very dangerous this morning before daylight.
One homeowner, Opal Puckett, says her home is dangerously close to falling into the rushing waters.
It worries me because I cannot sleep when the high waters comes. I walked the floor last night. I didn't know whether it was going to come over and do that real bad thing or not, but it did wash off some more of my bank out there.
And she sees the impact not just for her home, but the entire community.
Last night and yesterday it started raining again, and that flood is it's just devastating.
But Mayor Mike Taylor says the small town has been blessed.
I've never seen rain like it has. I mean, usually it snows during the wintertime and then it'd be rain all the time like that, you know, and we've been blessed too.
And is thankful no one was hurt during this dangerous time. In Pike County, Jordan Mullins, WYMT Mountain News.
Mayor Taylor adds that another bout of severe weather like this one could easily destroy Puckett's home, and he hopes she can get some help soon.
Well, we continue to watch high water in many locations as we slowly drop those creeks and streams through the region. It's going to take much of the weekend, though, before many locations are able to drop the water. One of those locations is here in Hazard. Look from our downtown Hazard camera. Normally looking at Triangle Park, we're looking at the North Fork of the Kentucky River right now. It's actually gone down a little bit since we brought you this image a little bit earlier, but it's still not far from the bottom of the Gorman Bridge there, so it's still something to watch. Plenty of clouds out there, 32, right at freezing here in Hazard. We'll continue to see temperatures drop into the low to middle 30s, into the 20s tonight. We're 25 to 30 degrees colder than this time yesterday. We continue to watch a few flurries out there, but those should continue to work on out of the region as we head through the rest of the nighttime hours. I'll have the details on when we see a return to some milder air in a few minutes. Keaton.
Thanks for keeping us up to date, Evan. We now know the name of the trooper involved in a Floyd County shooting earlier this month. Officials with the Kentucky State Police say Trooper Billy Ball conducted a traffic stop on US 23 in Prestonsburg on February 3rd. During the stop, the driver, Glenn Bays, reportedly attempted to reach for a firearm. Ball used his agency-issued gun to stop Bays. Bays was pronounced dead at the scene. Ball is a 3-year veteran with KSP and he's been placed on administrative leave. One person was transported to the hospital for minor injuries following a car crash in Vicco. First responders received a call at 12:28 p.m. The crash involved two cars. It happened near the Vicco Primary Care Center on Highway 15. Both vehicles have been towed away. Cause of the crash is being investigated by the Perry County Sheriff's Office. Today marks 2 weeks since a train carrying toxic chemicals derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. As recovery efforts continue, concerns about potential health threats are rising around the country. Julia Sandor talked with an expert at the University of Kentucky about the issue and looked at the rules and regulations when it comes to shipping hazardous materials through our own state.
There are still a lot of questions surrounding the aftermath of the freight train derailment in Ohio. Concerns about railroad regulations and health issues. It's something Dr. Erin Haynes at the University of Kentucky wants to know more details about.
So one goal that I have is to launch a health survey that would ask questions on where they live, the symptoms they're experiencing, just to have a full documentation of their experiences, and then also do this over time.
According to the U.S. Department of Transportation, there are 1.2 million daily shipments of hazardous materials across the country. Regulations for hazardous materials are set within the Department of Transportation, which includes its packaging, preparation, and every step of its transportation. Norfolk Southern shares its railroad safety regulations on its website, saying the Federal Railroad Administration performs regular inspections of rail facilities. After the derailment, Dr. Haynes says the chemicals are now starting to settle.
Concentration is becoming smaller and smaller. It's dissipating out. So I do not think there is a concern for let's say the Cincinnati, as it comes down our way, Louisville area.
For other railroads that cross through Kentucky, like CSX Transportation, they say safety is one of their top priorities. In Lexington, Julia Sandor, WKYT.
Although not involved in the Ohio derailment, in a statement from CSX Transportation, they say they also work closely with first responders and regulatory agencies to ensure proper planning and safety in these situations.
Well, coming up, we have sunshine on the way for the weekend as a warming trend works in. The latest details coming up after this. Plus,
we continue our coverage of the Southeast Kentucky Boat and RV Show with a look at how the event provides fun for the entire family.